Hello, my name is Michael Martino. I'm a board-certified emergency physician and will now propose some forward thinking on COVID-19. COVID-19 has caused 5,100 deaths in the U.S. as of 4/2/20. This number will grow significantly. However, we also experienced 7,700 deaths per day in the U.S. from all other diseases. Ignore COVID and it will get much bigger, and many additional people will die. If we put all our resources on COVID and ignore all the other diseases, then their impact will grow and many additional people will die. What have other countries tried? How do we achieve a balance and minimize avoidable deaths? Italy used ICU care and an IL-6 inhibitor and have tripled their annual pneumonia deaths in less than 3 months. This approach failed badly despite best efforts, and unfortunately the U.S. is using a similar strategy thus far. China used an autocratic vice grip and apparently some creative math. South Korea, on the other hand, used widespread testing, aggressive tracking of contacts, and selective isolation of positive cases while keeping their economy open. Let's call this strategy TTSI. They've had just 3 deaths per 1 million population with a 1.6% case fatality rate and are relaxing their measures after achieving a flat curve. Malaysia didn't use TTSI, but did use chloroquine from the beginning. They've had just 1 death per million population and 1.1% case fatality. Chloroquine for COVID-19 is supported by Chinese studies and multiple small but promising hydroxychloroquine azithromycin studies in France, showing outstanding cure and shortening viral shedding to less than 1 week. Italy and the U.S. have finally authorized hydroxychloroquine this past week for treatment of COVID-19, with Italy reporting excellent initial results. Let's look at a captive population. In early February, the Diamond Princess cruise ship suffered a significant outbreak of COVID-19 while unknowing passengers engaged in the opposite of social distancing and safe food practices. All 3,711 passengers were tested. Only 19% were positive. Half of those were asymptomatic. Only 10 died. The first 7 were over 70 years old. I could not find the ages of the last 3. Overall, a 1.4% case fatality rate and only 0.3% population mortality. However, with no quarantine and no early meds, that projects to 20 million people worldwide, so doing nothing is not an option. This graphic represents South Korea's experience. 4% go to hospital rather than 20% with TTSI strategy. 25% of hospitalized patients still go to ICU. If 90% of ventilators die, as shown in China, that gives us the 1% overall case mortality. What if we added Plaquenil and azithromycin to TTSI? By treating mild COVID early, could we decrease hospital care to just 1%? Could treating hospitalized patients before respiratory failure decrease the proportion of patients needing ventilators from 25% to 1/2 of that? Then even if 90% on ventilators die, we have just 0.1% mortality, which looks a lot more like the flu. Treating healthcare workers early will minimize their disease and return them to the arena quickly. The 99% of positives who recover or don't get symptoms and subsequently test negative can return to society, becoming a source of industry and convalescent serum. Age is the overwhelming risk factor identified for COVID-19. D-dimer greater than 1 is equally predictive, while elevated SOFA score also indicates poorer prognosis. Pre-existing heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, malignancy, and other common factors contribute to worse outcome. There is likely one risk factor worse than either age or D-dimer greater than 1 or a large viral load on exposure. The greatest risk factor for death from COVID-19 is doing absolutely nothing for these patients until they are almost dead. Do we tell diabetics they can only have insulin after DKA develops? Do we treat HIV patients only after they progress to AIDS? Lung tumor? Come back when you have widespread metastases. The mortality for COVID-19 patients on a ventilator in China was 81 to 97%. Treat patients early when their viral titer will be lowest. Numerous small studies and observations from several countries all indicate quicker recovery, decreased shedding time, which is itself a form of isolation, and decreased critical care usage. Stockpiling ventilators is a failed strategy. Unfortunately, we can ask Italy about that. We can ask New York City, which is suffering terribly. We need a wartime effort to mass produce Plaquenil, Zithromax, and PPE. We need widespread testing to find positive cases in the community, and we need to treat them early and then get them back to work helping the rest of the country. What could this look like? This graphic shows increasing severity as we go from green to yellow, red, and then gray. All positives get treated with at least 2-drug cocktail and isolation. Influenza therapy may also be added. Contacts are tracked down and tested as part of TTSI strategy. Those in yellow with higher risk factors or moderate disease get a 3-drug cocktail. Specific ingredients should be updated as new data emerges. Patients in red with high risk factors who have progressed to moderate disease would get admitted on 3-drug cocktail plus convalescent serum. Critically ill patients in gray are risk stratified by age, comorbidities, D-dimer, and SOFA score. Realistic conversations need to occur with patients and families about risks and benefits expected from ventilator support. Those patients likely to benefit from intubation and critical care may also be candidates for surfactant, cytokine modifiers, or even ECMO. The following winning strategies are predicated on widespread testing capability and sufficient medication inventory. Age is the best predictor of COVID-19 mortality, so keep people over age 60, including healthcare workers, in quarantine for now. Younger people with serious comorbidities should also maintain quarantine. Release everyone else who is asymptomatic back to work and society. Find and isolate all positives of any age as they arise. Use drug cocktail to treat all positives over age 18 and children with serious comorbidities. Treat early to prevent serious disease, decrease spread, and spare resources. Late is too late. Recovered patients can return to work immune, maintaining supply chains and economy sufficient to care for the epidemic and all other diseases we face as a nation. This will keep all source morbidity and mortality to a minimum. Recovered people are a source of convalescent plasma for the very ill. Finally, there are over 100 single nucleotide polymorphisms of the ACE2 human receptor, undoubtedly producing a spectrum of susceptibility to SARS-CoV-2. We need a SNP library of all hospitalized COVID-19 patients so we can learn who is at risk, who is not, and who may benefit from various resources. We are in this together. Let's fight to win. God bless you.